get this disco smoke. Let's go, y'all. Yo, we still got the side track going, y'all, too. Thank you, everyone, so much again. Smoke's heating up. Let's go, Tony Snark. Getting that pack on. Yo, thank you everyone so much for that hype train. Yo, seriously appreciate it, fam. Lit. Track is called Jazzy Piano. Very fitting. Thank you for the smoke, y'all. Mars, what's up? Good to see you.
I suppose we're gonna have to swap out the music we got going here and switch over to this. Now, where else do I have something playing? There we go. All right. And we got our vibe set here. A little bit wonkier because, you know, that's just the way I am. I got a few more things to get put away before it's time to start. So I will see you all shortly. What a delightfully funky song. It has been a very hectic weekend. And Monday, we had a lot of paperwork to process for the new move. But it's been worth it, as long as we get this all taken care of. Now, where do I find... Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Oh well, was worth looking into. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, it's still 6 and 9. Never mind. I'm going through my community votes here and seeing who voted for what. Oh my. This is not what I'm looking for. What is going on here? It's too much. No, no, no. Alright, that's more acceptable. That was like a parade. Too complex for a silly little Peglin. I suppose I should show my face. Which face should I show? Let's see. Yeah. Puppy mode. Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Oh wait, do I actually have captions? Well, that's not picking up right. It's interesting to see that it's attempting now, though. I suppose that's further reason for me to work on my elocution. So, yeah, I guess I should bring up Peglin here. I'm excited to do Everspace, though. I made certain to get all the rendering set up for it in advance. Bring my chat back up over here. And bring my puppy over here so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, Peglin. There we go. Boop. Yeah, it looks like it's showing up in the right spot, generally. Oh, maybe. Let's see. Wait, Peglin, why are you doing this? Why are you up there? What on earth? Okay, well, maybe that's a little better. Okay, no thoughts head empty. I hear you. My thoughts, they're already empty. My head is so empty. Also, for those that are interested, there's a couple of new animated emotes that just got added to the server. We got Talkie Dog and Bark Bark. I'm still stuck on Crucible 5. I forgot. Starting out with gunpowder? You got it. Let's do this. I also might need to turn down the speed on these. So fast. That went so fast. The woods grow darker and darker as you progress until you find a clearing where it is pouring rain. Embrace the lightning! As you walk into the middle of the clearing, you're struck by lightning. You shiver as the energy courses through you, but harmlessly congeals in your satchel in the form of a ball lightning level 2. Right off the bat, that's awesome! Let's see. Okay, let's go this way. We got a rock. Throw it! Goblin mode! This orb's so swolt. Oh, that one's gonna be hard to get to. Oh, jeez. Okay, bye. A warband. All right. Let's hold off. Let's see what else. We got one of these question marks. Let's do that. So how do you do? Also, thank you. Let me get that changed. Nice. Thank you for the reminder. How did I manage? Something I will fidget with offline. You find a waterfall just off the path. What secrets might it be hiding? Let's check. Salt Shaker. When you would gain max health, increase the amount gained by 1? 1. Just 1? What adds 1 health at a... Oh, is there something that adds just like a little bit of max health? I don't remember. I don't know. They've added so much to the game too that like I really don't remember what's what. Nice. That went a little faster than expected. Omegor. Oh, right. Now we're good. I hate these plants so much. Like, they're single-handedly one of the worst bosses in the game because you're never strong enough to fight them. They're always just brutally difficult, arbitrarily. And the level layout for it is so bad. Well, it was worth an attempt. An attempt was made. So bad. Are you kidding me? I can't believe that worked. Aw, so close. Shock Absorber is fun. Tempting. Let's see. Oh. Alright. Every 2 pegs activated. Whenever an enemy is defeated. Create 2 more gold coins. Well, that sounds nice. Alright, and we have the fancy explosive powder. Might get lucky. No! Oh well. Mm. Oh, gambling. Gambling with bomb meta isn't great though. Like you either do a crit gamble build or you do a make as many bombs as possible build. It is funny though that there's like meta in this. Um, I'm not even sure how like Milky Taro flavor plays on some of the higher difficulties because it's at the point where you start with like 9 rocks and that's it. Or I don't know if it's like actually quite that, but it's somewhere around there. I'm tempted. Okay, we're done. We're done gambling. Bye. All right. When reloading. Oh, now I'm locked in over here. Okay. What now? That was silly. Didn't quite expect that to go that route, but hey, works for me. All right. Yep, keep upgrading that. I'm eventually going to need to be able to heal, but we're not there yet. Ugh. Yeah. Ah. Rorb. Morbol. Extra light. Very neat. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Ugh. Okay. Just a little bit further. No? That's just where we're going? Okay. Well, that worked. Next, this one. Damn. Mm-hmm. Well, that's unfortunate. Make it out of this one. I usually have problems with this one. Oh. Okay. Uh. Hmm. Ooh. Let's see here. Everything starts with must circle. -2, -2. Hey, Busta. You know what? Let's do it. We're gonna go multi-ball. Multi-ball chaos. Kinda wish I got the gambling. Hmm. I'm just gonna go left side. Ooh. I like these rooms. They're fun. Oh, the shield blocks. That's interesting. Oh, well. Level 1 stones are gonna have a problem. Good to know. And I don't need to bother trying to hit crit with it. Bob Orb does 0 damage. Good to know. Jeez. Absolutely bomb meta now. Hmm. We're gonna read 6 instead. Yeah, inverse space invaders. I am the invader. Yeah, we'll call that good. Getting some interesting orbs here. Um, do the right side. Oh no! Come on! Okay, here we go. Blomp. Good. I needed this one. For every 8 hit, and the damage goes up. Yeah, that sounds fun. We got Amogus. A whole room full of them. Oh, jeez. Did like no damage. Interesting. These actually are worth a lot. Oh, I see. Interesting. Very bomb meta. Even higher damage every 7 instead. I mean, it would be silly not to. Oh, and I messed up. Oh well. Gloves. More gold. Every time the board is refreshed. Cookie, please. Please, cookies. Yeah. I love this level. What? Yeah, well, I needed the healing, so. Wait. Oh, for each peg hit. Okay. It still heals for 0. Oh no! I would have to have them on upgraded orbs. Okay. Well, sense has been made. Ow. Meh. Peglin slapping noise. Continued Peglin slapping noises. Come on! Cannot activate them. Well, I guess we're making bombs then. In this game. That hurt a lot, I'm realizing. Cha! Mm-hmm. I didn't even see that guy there. I should have used that. Oh well. Well, this will be over anyways. Bye! Widow Ball is nice. Ice Circle is nice. Egg Orb is nice. Right now, we need to do these. And extra fight in the middle for extra reward. Echo damage, huh? Wait, what? Oh, 0 damage because it's all bombs. 0. That's so weird. I want the shop on the right. I want variety. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give me that variety. Ooh. Game. Alright. What a silly starting one. Well, we're off to a wonderful start. Oh, come on! Well, at least that did something. What's this? Don't need it. Yeah, sure. Whoa. Those are a much wider area than I expect, but without the upgrade orb doing its job, doesn't do much good. I just don't have a multiplier to keep up. I'm going to end up losing the big wall fight. I have to purposefully hit this. Ah, still missed. Okay, let's do another run. That was silly. Whee. Additional bombs. +2 must circle. Every reload. That's every reload, though. You'd have to do a very strange build for that. Start off with the dagger. Don't have any way to really aim for that crit. Not just yet, at least. Okay. A Jack Orb Lantern is entertaining. No upgrades just yet. There's so many more things to find first before I can decide on what I want to spend money on. Okay, never mind. Well, cool. Oh, I don't have the one that makes them explode over a radius anymore. It's a very entertaining series of refreshes. Another Warp Hammer. Ice Circle would be great. Right? After a while, you can tell they just started having fun with them, but, like, what is it? The Warp Hammer is a little... the orb in the middle. It's a bit much. I love this map because you basically clear it automatically. The challenge in it then is to not clear it as quickly so you can get more of the gold rewards. So much more gold. No! Okay, well. I don't even think that's enough to do anything. Uh-oh. Oh, Megorb, Pult Orbgeist, Warb Hammer, Swarb. Well, I wouldn't have wanted any of the relics from here at least. Go for the fight over here. No, 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 no. Thank you. Oh. Spiderweb map is always difficult to actually get some clearance on. Wow, that was a lot of damage. Very nice. that side, it looks like. More turtle. And no money again. Hang on. Okay. Safe travels, at least. The feast. It's ruined. Oh no, I forgot it goes through the first one. I expected it to bounce back. Alright, well. Bye. Swashbuckler. That's a new one. Gonna have to figure out some form of healing. Even more. This should theoretically be a little easier this time. Theoretically. That won't even hit those. It's just gonna bounce off them. Oh no! Well... Damn. Of course. I am not doing great. This is absurd. Come on. Why does this always happen when I get stuck here? Okay. No, not a custom start. I don't want that. Now we're on a silly little roll. Except for the sling, filibuster. No. It's gonna be short fuse. All bombs are now already on fire. I don't have to hit them the first time. Oh no. Nope. Yeah, the dungeon Roomba will eat you. They are a meme because of how many characters they have ruined by being just overpowered through sheer stats and like mechanics alone. It's like so looking at things from a DM standpoint. if you got a set of player characters and they're used to doing skirmishes and brawl fights or bar fights, average brawling, and you put them up against any other kind of monster or NPC that uses tactics, and usually they will get mowed down. And there's not a lot that will change that until like a party has encountered that before, or at least one player from a party. And even then, out of character information is hard to play against there. Also, that run went really fast on that last one. Nope. Just gonna continue with what we got. I do want that box though. Complex claw? Sure. Everything gets crit bonus. It is all too easy to party wipe in a situation like that. I had a set of skeletons that 2 of them had tower shields and 2 of them had slings. Like, they weren't even really advanced weapons. They were just ancient warriors that had been brought back. And against a party of, like, a thief, an illusionist, a fighter, and a ranger, they couldn't hold their own. They couldn't figure out that a phalanx was, like, the whole reason the mobs were able to handle this. I think their solution to that fight ended up actually being an out of combat kind of thing. They had to use ingenuity to get around it because, for reasons unknown to me as the DM, they just were not capable of figuring out tactics together. What an awful reload spot. I can't believe I hit that. Wow, I'm getting slapped up here. Just a slappy little peglin. Starting to build up some money here, which is good. We'll just hold off for now. Hey. Alright. Oh, there's that plus to max health. So there's new stuff that I'm just not quite used to yet. A gold orb, you say? Or I could just improve the stones that I have. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, that takes us to there. Ooh. Well, dang. That's gonna be hard to hit. Almost. Playing some classic Peglin here, trying to do board clearing because I just want all the gold coins. I don't care about the rest of the pegs, and I'm going to get the damage out because it's early game. Alright. It really didn't get much of a use there. Hmm. Oh, okay. Well, hope for the best. Didn't get what I wanted. It's okay though. Ooh. Alright, what am I currently? Yep, we're doing this. For those that aren't aware of this one, you stumble onto a strange mirror with shadows flickering in the reflection. You're drawn closer and closer until your nose is nearly touching the glass. The shadows are speaking a language you've never heard before, but you understand their offer. Give him all the rocks! The shadows in the mirror offer to ease your burden, and you accept. You feel a slight sense of dread as your satchel empties and the world fades to black around you. You awaken sometime later with a mysterious new Ouroboros level 1 as the sole content of your satchel. Persist level 3. Echo 50. Deals 4 damage to self when discarded. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna go for that one. Oh, Spiral Slayer is also good. Increase base damage of everything. Also, all of my attacks have a very high base damage now. Oh. Nice. Well, really? I mean, I guess the echo works. Okay. A rubber would be nice. Well, that's not the one that splats, though. It's just extra bouncy on its own. Persist 4. Even higher damage. No. Right. I have to deal with this jerk now. Very nice. We're macking the hell out of this thing this time. Really good base damage for each hit. Very nice. Also, one of my favorite orbs. Ooh. So this one makes every peg into the Swolt Orb. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I just got a very overpowered build, and it's a lucky one that you'll sometimes run across. Not a lot of skill involved in ending up with these two things together. It's just sometimes it works out. Of course. Very powerful. I love it. keep going. All right. Very nice. Just kind of slamming right through a lot of these. Okay. Um, what's that? You are safe for now. Jeez. That's a lot of extra turns for all of them. Yeah, I'm gonna need that healing. Could do that one. Nah, we'll hold off. To the right side. This guy. I like fighting this guy. Ow. I don't remember there being that many shields here. Ugh. This weird pseudo butt rock. Oh, it's like, I wonder if that's a new mechanic. Ow. Ooh. Please be enough. Nope. Ah. Okay. Let's see here. Where are we at? We're at about an hour? Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and run a short break here. And I'll be right back. Gonna get up and do a stretch, grab myself some water. I recommend you folks do too. Return. So, been on here for a little bit. Do you folks want me to keep doing this for another run, or should we switch over to Everspace? It's going to be another roguelike, so a lot more of the same kind of running my face into a wall. I happen to be better at this game than at that one, so not sure how much longer or shorter like any given play will be. Space time? We got one vote for space time. Beep 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 beep. Also, I think one of the viewers is currently asleep, so continue this. Oh, cool. Got some neat relics. Very fun. All right. Now this is one that when I eventually get things set up a little less janky, I would love to actually stream this one in VR because it does work in VR. However, the way that my computer tries to render this one, it always turns into a major like seizure problem. So, just as a heads up, my computer is currently working. Not an issue, but there may be a problem halfway through stream. If that's the case, please notify immediately. We will go ahead and switch games. But this one has been working. I did test it out earlier tonight. Also, let's see. Is that actually capturing? Good, good, good. Also, very loud. Let's see. There she is. I was like, where is the dog? I have located the dog. Okay. So, for those that have seen me play a lot of FTL, let me go ahead and get the channel info updated here. Everspace 1. So I guess there's an Everspace 2, but I don't own that one. Okay, we've got all of our stream information updated here. I need to remember to save that stuff in advance. Cool. So yeah, this one's a lot like FTL in the sense that you're going from point to point to point and being chased by a fleet of something that's a lot bigger and stronger than you are. So you can't really just sit around and farm resources from any given area. But there's a lot of live exploration to be done in this one. Let me update one more thing on here. There we go. Put that photosensitivity warning in place. And I have yet to actually like make it past 2 or 3 jump points in this one. Whereas like FTL, I've actually managed to beat the campaign a couple times, but I've also been playing the game for 10 plus years now. This one is fairly new to me. I've only probably done maybe a half dozen sessions so far. So a lot of what you can find in there is very, very new to me. So let's give this a try. I'm not certain why it's saying continue, because I shouldn't have a live ship still. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Starting new. What ships do I have? What buttons do I use? Select ship. Scroll? Scroll. Oh, over here. Okay. So the Interceptor's the base one that I started with. I was messing with the Sentinel for a minute. We tried a shield. Boost speed, sensor strength. I don't remember any of this. Having a shield is good, though, because armor doesn't regenerate. And the Sentinel seems to have the highest of them, so we'll go with that. Oh, can I actually, like, swap out my loadouts? Oh, okay. Very much similar to being able to choose different ships from FTL. I don't have any credits left over. Okay. Yep, let's just continue. Sure, maybe we'll get something useful with that. I don't even remember the controls of this, so... Okar fighter
This
there.
could be a sticky situation here.
I don't remember how to fight. I don't remember what doesn't do damage. Whoa. Also, motion sickness warning for anybody that's not used to space sickness.
A direct monetary reward for your endeavors.
What is happening? And that's the game? Holy cow! This game is very unforgiving. That was on normal difficulty. Like, I warped in and immediately got just hauled off. What happened? It's a lot more intense than I expected. Jeez. Oh, whoa, hold up. What? Did I actually get... Oh, I actually got a substantial amount of credits. And I think part of it might be this, is that I don't have, like, all the bonus equipment and stuff set up. Energy regeneration, whole hit points. I guess I should be, like, boosting whole hit points and max speed more. Hit point repair rate. Next level 330. Oh, right. Each of these perks is ship specific, too. Oh, jeez. Okay. Cost 500. Next one's 615. Energy capacity. Speed of energy regeneration. Well, I need that more than anything else. This time we got nanobots? Let's do those. Normal? K. Yeah. Game hates me. We got corrosion missiles and lightning gun. We got a booster, an EMP generator, a device charger. I don't know what the device charger is. Is it for cloaking? Oh, that was not what I meant to do. Oh no. Oh hey. That's handy. Shield breakers. Ooh. Well, I guess we salvage those. Very handy. Okay, how did I... Oh. Let's see. A plasma field. I could pick up some plasma, or I could look at this wreckage and maybe find something. What's that? Oh, that's the jump gate. I don't want that yet. Ah, there's something over here. It's open now? I guess so. Okay. Woo! Uh-oh. I guess I don't fit there. And this way? Is there anything else on this side? Whoa. Okay, nothing over there. We got G&B fighters and a plasma field. Let's go to the plasma field. Got to try and get as much stuff done per sector as I can. Very nice. Okay, moving on. What else looks interesting? There's a big rock over here. Mineable crystals, hey! Oh, we got hostiles. Oh, damn! That just ran right into me. Mineable ore. Ore fully mined. Okay, wasn't there crystals somewhere? Wait, what? Do those G&B folks get the crystals? Or am I just on the wrong asteroid here? I'm on the wrong asteroid. Okay. Sense has been made. Got some fuel. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. We got more over here. Wait, is that it? Oh, it's such a good noise. Three new items can be crafted. I'm hearing hostiles. Outlaw, outlaw.
Intercepted.
Intercepted. Does that mean I'm visible right now? Oh no. Okay, I'm not getting into that crystal. But I am seeing a thing over here and I'm interested in it. Ah, I'm back. Wait, what? I already got that box. Oh no. That just says mineable crystal. Okay. I'm not seeing much else. Maybe there's crystals out here? Or some more ore? Well, I think I may have actually cleared this sector, which kind of blows me away, but let's move onwards before I get attacked. Look familiar? Let's see. Can't reveal anything because I don't have perks. Cool. Let's go this way, I guess. Nanobots. Fuel. Dark energy, plasma, ore, gas. Travel? Is there a way? I think there is. Whoop. Ah. Temporarily overrides. Okay. Can't build anything there. Instantly resets all active device cooldowns, making them available for use. Upgrade shield damage mod for the lightning gun. That could be useful. I'm about to run out of the missiles. Upgrade shield capacity. Let's do that. Alright. I didn't even look at the sector. We got a comms hub over here. And looks like some gas and an outlaw scout. Sneak up on this person. Yeah, I see you. You. Thank you. Give me that gas. Gas, 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 gas. Hello, random turret. How you doing? Hack the hub. Womp. Scan everything. Not actually sure. Let's see here. Data? I don't know. Ooh. I have no idea. We have a bunch of goodies out here. Some tech containers, some freighter rack. Bunch of drones too. Hello. I just found out that... Oh, well, maybe don't attack me next time? What are you? Go away! Some nanobots. Got some plasma fields. This is a very lucrative zone. Oh, hey there. Okay. Gas, 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 gas. Shot, 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 shot. Oh. Container. I would never have seen this without that communications hub. What, did nothing come out? I don't like that noise. It's really gross. Very wet. So is that supposedly everything? According to that comms hub? I guess so. Okay. I don't know what this button is, but we're gonna find out. Ow! Where are you?
Out if we can.
Okay. Got some plasma and crystals from that fight. Took a little bit of damage, though. Shipwreck of Garion. Is that the name of my ship? More credits. Hostile square. Let's see. Can I just make... I can just make missiles. Very nice. Okay. That only works if something actually has a turret. Oh no, that's evil. Got very loud. I got a new shield blueprint. It makes some good credits. Oh, because the credits get spent out of the mission, not in the mission. Alright. I think I'm starting to understand this. I could have more device slots. I don't really want. Requirements, device slots. Oh. Chance is only 1%. What a weird ship. Okay, well. Wait, what happened? Oh, okay. What a weird ship. sensory. What does that do? Increase. Oh, okay. This turret override is practically resistant. I don't want. Absolutely nothing out there. See what's inside this big rock. Damage. Oh. Way better than this. It's a brutally difficult game. I am not good at this. I could easily see, like, using third-person view as a minor advantage in this, but since I eventually want to play this in VR, I'm kind of trying to keep it in first-person. Hey, computer? Computer? Oh no. My mouse has been captured. I have to Alt-Tab. What an interesting error. Okay. Back to trying to get to that mineable. Also, I see some O-car drones, which I don't want to deal with, but... Said the wrong things. I didn't want to have said G and B. No, no, no. Oh, this run is over before it's even getting started. Yeah. We got problems. G and B are now off. Life support at minimal. Initially, it was nauseating in VR. Part of the problem was, like, my graphics card does not handle it well, so it's very flickery on my end. What else? More stuff over here. Hello, GNB. I don't want to mess with their stuff because they get real upset. Is it? I see something. Bye. Ooh. We got outlaws out here. Got a lot of outlaws out here.
Anyone out there?
Don't like that.
Coming around.
Ooh, Gatling gun. Weapon is not compatible. Well, we're salvaging it then. That was more credits. Ow. Energy injector. Instantly has a small amount of energy. That'd be cool. Drone disassembler blueprint. That sounds useful. Oh. Guess there's no point in mining this. Seriously, no tourists or anything? Oh, there it is. Okay. Little pirate base floating out in the middle of nowhere. You don't know you were looking for it. Didn't miss it. Which is the point.
Well executed.
Alright. Very nice. Obstacle blocks the way. Take them upside down. Yep. There you go. Is that everything? Whoa. Don't do that. Yeah, that's not everything. It's Jamie. It really is. With no local map, it's hard to find, like, what to route yourself to, but that's also being in zero grab, like, the enemy's gate is down. Oh wow, this is beautiful. I'm so glad I turned up the graphics acceleration. Oh, hello. Oh yeah, I'm actually a fan of some of the extended Ender's Game series. Come on. Right. Now your shield's next. Knock out everybody's engines. Next. Who is bombing me? Or am I just... It's their bodies. Okay. Ender Shadow and the rest of the Shadow series I would recommend checking out. Wow! The lightning gun does cool stuff! Unfortunately, part of the... Whoa! What is happening? Huh? Part of the problem with the series is, like, they were written by an author who is a product of their time, so... Different weapon. What do you think? Should I keep up the lightning gun, or should I switch to a beam laser? Now, that being said, good series, like, really good intrigue series. The kids in space subject idea is, carried through multiple perspectives in a fun way. What do you think, Busta? Should I activate the gay beam? Okay. Let's see what a different gun for this ship will do. No! It's a little mic. could have sworn I saw another tech container inside this. Oh, they're way over there. Okay. What else here? Yep. Plasma. What's the combat distance on that beam laser? 1600. Okay. I'm even low on the shield breaker missiles, but those have been very useful in the meantime. Did I just get hit by a missile? My shield just kind of let me ignore that. Awful noise. Energy core extension. I'm not sure what that even does. Can be installed multiple times. Interesting. So how does that? It just gives me increased. Ah. Well, energy consumption has been increased, but it does more shield damage now. Didn't quite mean to do that. This is such a cool looking ship. Did any of you ever play the original Wing Commander? The Furballs, I think was the name that they gave the opposing force. They had ships that were similar in shape to this I really liked. And stuff inside here. Mainframe override. +++. Overrides just target ship's control unit makes them fight on your side. Oh, that's interesting. I think I'm good, but that's a fun one. Uh-oh. Okar. What was the last thing that I wanted to look at? Mineable gas? No, we're good on that. Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else. Okay, let's get out of here. Woo! The furthest I've gotten. There's a wreck there, it says. Must be one of my wrecks. feeling if I go around one of these, I'm gonna find tentacles again. Has anybody else seen that? Creeps me out. You just randomly see ships that are infested with tentacles out in space. I hear something. Something again. I'm so glad the ship has shields. There's still scrap and dark matter. Why did the music just get epic? No, I don't want to fight. Whatever just popped up, I don't want to fight. Outlaw stuff. Okay. Through. Big rock. There it is. Drone disassembly. Dismantles drones into tech resources, destroying them instantly. Like enemy drones? I'm thinking that's for like my drones. What about the Gatling turret? Count that. Would have been nice. Got mineable ore in the back of the jump. Can duke it out over there. I'll be over here. Oh, hello. Say goodbye to your little shields. Who else is shooting at me? I already have a drone disassembler. It's called my laser. Me, or am I just missing something here? There's got to be a hidden defense platform or a pirate station or something. There's like nothing here. There it is. Love treasure hunting in space. Never know what you're gonna run into. There's those goo again. Other indigenous life forms. kind of feel bad for doing that though. Vice charger. No. Drone overlay. No. Okay. Is that it? I think that's it. Hello, weird goo thing. No other ice? I saw some like large structures, but I don't think there's anything knows. Nothing out between. Oh, come on. When that's just drifted. Okay. Let's do the more interesting one. Orange means interesting, right?
I appreciate you are enjoying the respite, but we might be better seeking progress and action.
Sensors up here. Oh, there's something over here. Also, what is that, a planet? Yep. Okay. There's something interesting out there. The game told me so. Also, Elite Scout. Huh? Seems like I might need to upgrade my shields. Some credits. Did I just teleport? No, but that thing did.
What's going on here?
Vermin! Drag shot! Bottom feeders! Plague rats!
Could we help this individual? It is a colonial ship, but it doesn't sound like a human pilot.
The ship is unregistered. Choose carefully whether to assist.
I mean, it's just a bunch of outlaw scouts. This thing's handling the majority of the damage. Fly around and shoot stuff. Why wouldn't I?
Your assistance is acknowledged. Certain outlaws will not play by the unwritten rules of this sector.
Well, we've taken care of the problem. For now.
We've not yet been introduced. I am Tareen, merchant of many diverse wares.
An Okar trader? Here in the demilitarized zone? Now that's a first.
I admit it's unusual, but I am no mere trader. Rather a purveyor of special acquisition. People want specific objects, I provide them what they want.
That sounds fairly straightforward.
It's a give-and-take galaxy. Perhaps you seek a partnership in some ventures.
You place your trust in me very quickly.
Not for everyone, but I can see you are someone who would recognize a profitable opportunity. I will start you small. If you can obtain some scrap for me, we can talk more serious business.
I'm sure I can manage that.
You can deliver the goods in installments if this is more suitable to you. My signature setting will show you my current location.
Okay, sounds doable.
Nice.
Some scrap. That should be easy enough.
I noticed you did not ask about payment.
I'm trusting he knows how to do business. It's a small task, nothing much to lose. Right?
There's a bunch of scrap right here. Made out of my victims. More Okar fighters. Is over here though. Also, I totally went a different direction than the one I meant to go. Let's see what this person got for sale. He wants 200 scrap. Interesting. Okay.
I still need more.
Okay, hungry hippo. I see something mineable over there. Bright purple. The smoky music is, concerning. I'm on the terrace soon. Alright, folks, who are you? G&B. I'm not messing with them. That is part of the planet. I would love to explore that rock with this ship. Game, let me do that. Can I do that? Let me do that. Oh. Alright, I think I have to go to the next sector and just try and find more scrap as we go. I hope that's how it works and that I didn't just completely abandon that quest. I guess we'll see. Oh, okay. I see some wreckage. You got the little noodles. You're full of the little noodles. I've seen your kind around here before. Please tell me that's an upcoming line. Oh, what? Oh no! Was it? Oh no! Oh, those are outlaws. Okay. It's like a whole battle going on out here.
You've been detected.
I think it's fine. Like, honestly, I think it's fine. It's still fine. Dungeon Siege 3. Is that the something of the sun? Is that the one that had like gauntlet style co-op? I think I played Dungeon Siege 3 on PS3. Oh, Dark Souls. It's a GNB fighter. Why am I fighting GNB? I think their shields are better than my guns. Hard to say. I mean, I wasn't trying to shoot them in the first place, it just keeps happening. Well, that went brutally awful. I also appear to have lost the thing I made before this game is. Oh, it was a 30-minute run on that one. Not bad. Not bad. 9,000 credits. There was something that I could only get that was like 4,000 to get. What was it? Mod slots. That's... Improves your standing of GNB. Reduces the chance of GNB units reporting your attacks. That's silly. sector scanner, so it's nice. Four levels of will show natural hazards on the map if I level it up for Okay, I see. And everything else is gonna be about that price. Okay. Well, there you go. Whew. Look at something. Alright. I think I'm gonna stop tonight. Just because we've had an average of 3 views, and what I'm trying to go for right now is getting that last bit of stream necessary for, I do appreciate everybody's help with that this week. Things are probably going to be a little bit less, every single day streams for a second while I'm getting things moved, but I do still intend on being here fairly regularly for you folks. And really look forward to playing more games. I got some more stuff that's going to be coming up, and with the affiliate stuff basically out of the way, I want to go ahead and fulfill the, thank you, Busta. I'm going to try and fulfill all of the, slots for redeems and whatnot, and I just been wanting to put into place for a minute, and then get to use those emotes. So, thank you everybody for helping out. I super appreciate all the support. Thank you everybody who's been watching the VODs. I see you too. And we will be doing more stuff soon. For now... Oh, I'm so tempted. Amicus, would you like me to, push everybody over to your stream? Oh, I love these subtitles. Why said Senator Hatch's what? Well, it sounds like they're busy at the moment, so we'll just send you folks over to soon. Oh, wrong button. Okay. Yeah, I'm very, very tired, so we don't have time for the fan art reel tonight. Also, I got more stuff to add to that too. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely night. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, one, the right to be solved. Bye.